If you're 65 and 80 and can still do this, you're a rare gem and destined to live to 100. Reaching 100 years old isn't just about luck or genetics, it's about the small choices you make every single day. If you're between 65 and 80 and can still do these 6 things, you're not just aging well, you're defying the odds. Many people assume that getting older means slowing down, losing independence, and accepting decline. But that's not the full story. Some people stay active, sharp, and full of life well beyond their 80s, and the secret isn't in expensive treatments or perfect genes, it's in the simple, powerful habits they maintain. The 6 signs we're about to cover are common among the world's longest-living individuals. If you recognize them in yourself, it's a strong indicator that you're on track for a longer, healthier, and more vibrant life. And even if you feel like you've lost a step in one area, don't worry. Aging is never a straight path downward. The body and mind can adapt at any age. Stay with me until the last point because it's the one most people overlook, yet it plays a critical role in not just how long you live but how well you live. Let's dive in. You might be closer to 100 than you think. Factor 1. You move with strength and confidence. The ancient philosopher Confucius once said, "It does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop." This wisdom applies deeply to the way we age. Strength, balance, and confidence in movement aren't about doing extraordinary things. They are about the small, consistent efforts we make every day to keep our bodies strong and independent. The moment we stop using our muscles, they begin to weaken, and our ability to move freely starts to fade. I remember my old friend Walter. At 82, he still moved like a man decades younger, effortlessly carrying his groceries, climbing stairs without hesitation, and getting up from his chair with ease. People often asked him his secret, expecting a special diet or a miracle supplement, but Walter would just chuckle and say, "I never stopped moving." He had seen too many of his peers slow down, avoiding the stairs in favor of the elevator, sitting for hours instead of taking walks. Over time, their bodies followed suit. What they stopped using, they lost. Walter, on the other hand, had a rule. Every morning, he would practice standing up from his chair without using his hands. If he struggled, he would do a few extra leg exercises that day. "Your legs are your freedom," he told me once. "Lose them, and you lose everything." He was right. Research shows that leg and core strength are some of the strongest indicators of longevity. Weak legs lead to instability, increasing the risk of falls, a major cause of injury and hospitalization in older adults. But the good news? Strength can be rebuilt at any age. One winter, Walter slipped on an icy sidewalk and fractured his hip. Many feared it would be the end of his independence, but he wasn't one to give up. He did his therapy, pushed through the discomfort, and within months he was back to walking on his own. "If you want to keep moving, you have to move," he'd remind anyone who listened. His recovery was living proof that the body adapts when we demand more from it. So ask yourself, when was the last time you stood up from a chair without using your hands? Do you avoid stairs when possible? Do you feel confident carrying your groceries? If not, don't worry. It's never too late to rebuild strength. Start today with small actions. Practice standing from a seated position, do a few leg lifts, and take the stairs instead of the elevator. These little moments add up over time, keeping you strong, independent, and on the path to a long, active life. What's one movement you feel proud of still being able to do? Share your experience in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you stay strong. Factor 2. You walk at a brisk pace without feeling winded. The Greek physician Hippocrates once said, "Walking is man's best medicine." It's a simple truth that has stood the test of time. The way you walk says more about your health than you might realize. A strong, steady pace is one of the clearest indicators of a well-functioning heart, strong lungs, and a body that refuses to slow down with age. I remember a man named Richard. He was 76 years old, but you wouldn't have known it by watching him move. Every morning, rain or shine, he'd set out for his daily walk. "If you can walk fast, you can outrun old age," he used to say with a grin. His pace was brisk, his posture straight, and his breathing steady. He never had to pause to catch his breath, and he carried himself with the energy of a man half his age. But one day, his friend Charles, the same age, found himself struggling just to keep up. "I don't know what's happening," Charles admitted, stopping to rest. "I used to walk like you, but now, even a short distance makes me tired." Richard knew what was happening. Charles had started taking life slower, cutting his walks shorter, sitting more often, and avoiding anything that made him exert too much effort. His muscles weakened, his lung capacity shrank, and without realizing it, he had slipped into a cycle of decline. Doctors say that walking speed is a major predictor of longevity. If you can walk at a brisk pace without feeling winded, it means your heart is pumping efficiently, your lungs are delivering oxygen well, and your muscles have the endurance to support movement. Slower walking, on the other hand, often signals declining health, even before other symptoms appear. But here's the good news. Endurance isn't something you lose overnight, and it's something you can always rebuild. Richard helped Charles start slow, just a little faster each day, a little longer each week. They worked on breathing exercises, taking deep belly breaths as they walked. At first, Charles struggled, but with time his stamina returned. A year later, he was keeping up with Richard again, walking with the same confidence he once had. So ask yourself, when you walk, do you move with purpose, or do you feel like you need to slow down more than before? Do you ever find yourself pausing to catch your breath? If so, don't ignore it. Start rebuilding your endurance now. Walk a little farther, pick up your pace slightly, and practice deep breathing as you move. A strong walking speed isn't just about staying fit. It's about staying independent, staying healthy, and quite possibly, living longer. How's your walking pace these days? Do you still move with confidence? Share your experience in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. Factor 3. You have strong balance and coordination. The ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu once said, "A tree that is unbending is easily broken." Balance is not just about standing on one foot. It's about adaptability, resilience, and the ability to move through life without fear. Those who master balance, both physically and mentally, tend to live longer, healthier lives. I once knew a woman named Eleanor, a retired schoolteacher who had just turned 80. She had always been independent, never one to rely on others, but one winter morning she slipped on a patch of ice outside her home. It happened so fast. One moment she was walking to her mailbox, and the next she was on the ground, unable to stand up. A fractured hip meant months of recovery, but more than that, it shook her confidence. The fear of falling again settled in, and slowly she began doing less and less. She stopped going for walks, avoided stairs, and even hesitated when reaching for something high. The Eleanor who once carried herself with strength now moved with uncertainty. That's when her daughter introduced her to Tai Chi, a slow, intentional practice that focuses on balance, flexibility, and coordination. At first, Eleanor was skeptical. How could such small, gentle movements make a difference? But with each passing day, she noticed subtle changes. She felt more stable standing in the kitchen, more confident stepping into the shower, and more assured walking outside. The fear that had crept into her life began to fade. One day her grandson challenged her to a simple test: stand on one foot for 10 seconds. With a deep breath, she lifted her foot, and to her own surprise she stayed steady. Studies show that balance is one of the most accurate predictors of longevity. Those who struggle to balance even for a few seconds are at a significantly higher risk of falls, which can lead to long recoveries, loss of independence, and a decline in overall health. In contrast, people who maintain strong coordination tend to live longer, because balance is more than just a physical ability. It's a reflection of how well the brain, muscles, and nervous system are working together. If you want to test yourself, try standing on one foot for 10 seconds. If it feels easy, that's fantastic. Keep challenging yourself with new movements. If it feels difficult, don't worry. Balance can be improved at any age. Simple exercises like heel-to-toe walking, gentle yoga, or standing on one foot while brushing your teeth can make all the difference. The goal isn't just to stay upright, it's to move through life with confidence. How's your balance these days? Have you ever had a moment where you realized it wasn't as strong as it used to be? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. Factor 4. Your brain is still sharp and active. Socrates once said, "Wisdom begins in wonder." A curious mind, one that never stops learning and questioning, is the greatest weapon against aging. If you can recall conversations easily, solve problems with clarity, and maintain a deep sense of curiosity about the world, then your brain is still working beautifully. And that's one of the strongest signs of longevity. I once knew a man named Samuel, a retired engineer in his late 80s. He had seen the world change before his very eyes, from the days of black and white television to the rise of smartphones and artificial intelligence. But unlike many his age, he never let time pass him by. Instead of clinging to the past, he embraced the future. While his friends hesitated to learn new technology, he picked up an iPad at 82 and started watching online courses. He would spend hours reading history and philosophy, and even learning bits of foreign languages. When someone asked him why, he smiled and said, "The day I stop learning is the day I start dying." One evening at a family gathering, Samuel's grandson challenged him to a game of chess. The young boy, full of confidence, had been practicing online strategies, convinced he could outsmart his elderly grandfather. Samuel simply chuckled, took a sip of his tea, and made his first move. Within minutes it became clear his mind was sharp, calculating every possibility with the same precision he had in his youth. His grandson was stunned. "Grandpa, how do you still remember all this?" Samuel laughed. "Because I never stopped using my brain, kiddo. You lose what you don't use." Science backs up what Samuel knew instinctively. Mental sharpness is one of the best predictors of a long and fulfilling life. Studies show that people who continue to challenge their brains through reading, puzzles, strategic thinking, and learning new skills are significantly less likely to develop dementia or cognitive decline. The mind is like a muscle. If you use it, it stays strong. If you neglect it, it weakens. But mental sharpness isn't just about memory. It's about engagement. People who stay socially active, who engage in deep discussions, and who remain interested in life tend to keep their cognitive function intact well into their later years. The brain thrives on interaction, on debate, on new ideas. That's why some of the longest-living people in the world still read books, learn new hobbies, and hold meaningful conversations every day. So, how sharp is your mind? Can you recall details from a conversation last week? Do you still challenge yourself with learning something new? If you feel your memory could use some improvement, start small. Read a book, do a crossword puzzle, or try learning a few words in a different language. Your brain is capable of adapting at any age. The key is to keep feeding it. I'd love to hear from you. What's something new you've learned recently? Drop it in the comments below. Factor 5. You sleep well and wake up energized. The ancient Roman philosopher Seneca once said, "The day is wasted if one has not rested well the night before." Sleep is not just a pause between waking hours, it is the body's most powerful healer. When we rest deeply, our cells regenerate, our minds clear, and our energy renews for the challenges ahead. John, 78, used to be proud of running on little sleep. In his younger years, he had built a successful business, often staying up past midnight, planning, strategizing, and pushing himself to the limit. Even after retiring, the habit remained: late-night television, falling asleep on the couch, and waking up groggy, irritated, and always tired. He dismissed it as a normal part of aging until one evening he dozed off behind the wheel while driving home. That moment shook him. Determined to regain control, he started treating sleep with the same discipline he once gave his work. He cut out caffeine after 3 p.m., swapped the glowing television screen for a book before bed, and committed to sleeping and waking at the same time every day. It was not an overnight change, but within weeks, he noticed a difference. He no longer felt exhausted in the afternoons, his mind felt clearer, and his mornings started with energy rather than struggle. For the first time in years, he woke up feeling young again. Sleep is not a luxury, it is a necessity for longevity. If you wake up feeling refreshed, your body is still functioning as it should, but if you often wake up tired, restless, or needing multiple naps, it may be time to reevaluate your habits. What about you? Do you prioritize good sleep? Have you noticed how rest affects your daily energy and health? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights may inspire someone else to make a change for the better. Factor 6. You stay socially connected and emotionally strong. The Greek philosopher Aristotle once said, "Man is by nature a social animal. No one thrives in isolation." The longest-living people in the world, from Okinawa to Sardinia, share a common secret: not just healthy diets or daily movement, but strong social bonds. It is the warmth of connection, the feeling of being valued and loved, that keeps the spirit alive and the body resilient. Take Margaret, 82, who had spent most of her life surrounded by family and friends. But after losing her husband and seeing her children move away, the silence in her house became deafening. She told herself she was fine. After all, she had books, television, and occasional phone calls. Yet something inside her felt duller, heavier. Days blended together, and she found herself watching the world through a window instead of stepping into it. Then, one evening, an old friend called and invited her to a book club at the library. At first, Margaret hesitated, unsure if she would fit in, but she went. That night, she laughed more than she had in months. One meeting turned into another, then a weekly lunch with new friends, then volunteer work at the local food bank. Slowly, her world expanded again. The loneliness lifted, her energy returned, and even her doctor noticed improvements in her health. Social connection is not just about companionship. It strengthens the immune system, keeps the mind sharp, and reduces the risk of depression and cognitive decline. If you are someone who still engages in deep conversations, maintains friendships, and finds joy in connecting with others, you are doing what the world's longest living people do. But if you've been feeling isolated, remember, it's never too late to reconnect. A simple phone call, joining a local group, or even striking up a conversation with a neighbor can make all the difference. Do you believe social connections have played a role in your health and happiness? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experiences might inspire someone else to take that first step back into the world. Aging well isn't about avoiding wrinkles or feeling like you're 25 again. It's about maintaining strength, clarity, balance, rest, and connection. If you can still move with confidence, think sharply, maintain your balance, sleep soundly, and stay socially engaged, you are on track for a long, fulfilling life. These signs aren't just random, they're backed by science, linked to the habits of the world's longest living people. But here's the best part. Even if you feel like you've lost some ground in one area, you are never too old to improve. The body and mind are remarkably adaptable at any age. Small, consistent efforts, whether it's stretching in the morning, walking a little faster, engaging in conversations, or getting better sleep, can make all the difference over time. Longevity isn't about doing everything perfectly, it's about showing up for yourself every day. So, which of these 6 signs do you recognize in yourself? Which ones surprised you the most? Leave a comment below, we'd love to hear your thoughts. And, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue bringing you more health-boosting content to keep you thriving for years to come.